Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and I am welcoming you to another podcast where we talk about professional wrestling. That's what we do here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Every week is what we do. And boy, we got a big show. We got a lot of stuff packed in tonight. We're recording this on November 14 live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, which is what we do every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you ever have a chance to pop in, that'd be great. We'd love to have you come and join in the festivities, and there's, some community interaction, stuff that you don't see if you're just hanging out for the VOD, which is fine. If you're watching the VOD right now on YouTube, that's great. Leave a like if you feel if you feel like it. I would be much obliged. That would be great, actually. Or leave it, or subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss a thing. Or you can also listen to this on your favorite podcast application and leave some 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts or some 5-star ratings on Spotify as well. All of these things help out tremendously, help grow the podcast, and make me happy. And making me happy is very simple. Just like joining the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord if you like to talk about pro wrestling a little more. The link is in the description. We'd love to have you there. Little programming notes, upcoming review shows. As you know, I do Dynamite and Collision reviews on a weekly basis. This week, the Dynamite review will be on Thursday, but might be out a little later than usual. I know it's usually mid-afternoon kind of thing, but it might be a little later than that. Just, work stuff getting in the way. Nothing serious, but we will have to we'll have to readjust. But it will be coming on Thursday. No Collision review this week, since Collision is on Friday, and then we have the pay-per-view on Saturday. It'll be a waste. It won't be a good idea. We're not doing that. So we're just not doing that. So no Collision review this week. We'll be back next Sunday for that. But in the meantime, everything will move along smoothly and as normal, such as tonight. This is what we're talking about tonight. Of course, we're going to preview AEW Full Gear, which is happening this weekend. We're also going to talk about the Continental Classic. I've got some thoughts on that. Going to review New Japan Strong Lonestar Shootout that happened this weekend as well. The DDT Ultimate Party 2023 review. Going to talk about World Tag League and a few little bits and bobs and knobs and whatnot. But in the meantime, not in the meantime, let's kick everything off. Let's get going with the weekly wrestling inspection. Let's talk about the Continental Classic. It was announced a couple of days ago, as when we're recording this on Collision. That would have been what? I'm terrible at dates. It's the 14th. That would have made it the 12th, right? On the 12th? On November 12th? Right? Saturday, Sunday, Monday. No, it would have been the 11th. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. There you go. The 11th. A tournament featuring 12 wrestlers has been announced. The Continental Classic, announced by Tony Khan. And it not only is it it's not your run-of-the-mill humdrum tournament that we're so used to in North America. No. Finally, AEW is pulling out the round robin. The only disappointment that I have in this situation is that NXT did it first. I'm very, very disappointed in Anthony Khan having made the decision to not go with this earlier, get upstaged by Michael Hickenbottom, which is probably why he's going to be the Observer Booker of the Year, right? Because he booked a round robin tournament in North America. Good job, sexy boy Mike Hick. We're already off the rails. So the tournament itself, the Continental Classic, will span 6 weeks. And the winner will be crowned at World's End, which is the final pay-per-view of the year for AEW, on December 30th. He then revealed that Bryan Danielson would be the first participant in the tournament. Actually, when they were doing the thing, Danielson was right next to him and saying, oh, well, you know, by hook or by crook, I'll be there. That's not what he said. But he should have said, I'm gonna make it by hook or by crook. And he's got the bandage across his face. He's looking like Dark Man. Remember Dark Man? Does anyone remember that movie? Dark Man? Wasn't Liam Neeson in Dark Man? Who was in Dark Man? Sam Raimi, who directed it. Why isn't the cast showing up? The cast usually shows up. No, there wasn't any. Yeah, it was Liam Neeson. Exactly. Julie Hastings was in that too. No, Frances McDermott. Huh. Frances McDermott was in there in that movie. Not a memorable film by any stretch of the imagination. But he kind of did look like Dark Man. Anyway. And Danielson, basically, he cut a promo there as well, saying, that no one could stop him from competing, if only by the grace of the good Lord, by hook or by crook. And he says all the wrestlers involved are going to put on the greatest tournament ever. And like Chad is mentioning, that's a tall order right there, bub. Okay. Sure. So the tournament, like we said, it's going to be over 6 weeks, split between Dynamite and Collision. And we're going the 2-block route of 6 gentlemen per block. We're going to have the Dynamite in Chicago on November 22nd. That's going to kick it off. Then the Collision in Pittsburgh on November 25th. Then we go to November 29th for the Dynamite in Minneapolis. Then the Collision in Erie on December 2nd. The Collision in Montreal on December 5th. And the Dynamite on December 6th, which is going to be interesting how they're going to deal with that on television. Unless the Dynamite on Tuesday is being broadcast live, right? Because it'll be interesting how they deal with the results then. Are we going to kayfabe the results until Saturday then? Whereas they'll be spoiled regardless. Oh, but I don't know if you've heard, but spoilers hurt the business. Spoilers, folks, they ruin the business. This is what a bunch of pro wrestlers have been telling us recently. It's all new to them, I've been hearing this since 1996. That spoilers ruin pro wrestling for everyone, and they ruin the business of pro wrestling. The Montreal ones, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. But then back to the Dynamite in Arlington on December 13, the Collision in Garland on December 16, the Dynamite in Oklahoma City on December 20th, and the Collision in San Antonio will be the last night of block action, December 23rd. The league finals in Orlando on the Dynamite, December 27, with the finals 3 days later at World's End. So here's what's interesting. What I'm wondering is how they're going to do the league finals, right? Are they going to do, Block A, the winner of Block A versus the runner-up of Block B, and Block B winner versus runner-up of Block A? That's what I'd do, but you never know. And that's what we got right now. So listen. Anyone who's listened to this for a while knows I love me some tournament wrestling. I love the G1. G1 is it's a significant tournament. It's probably the most prestigious tournament that you can have in this wacky business of pro wrestling. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm excited, but I'm also tempering my expectations, and it kind of sucks because look, this is the key here, and we talked about it on the Collision review on Sunday, but I just want to rehash these points. I'm this tournament will only be as good as the field that is involved, right? There's a reason why Danielson was announced as the first entrant, right? Don't kid yourselves. Tony is talking to people like me, and probably people like you. It's the stroke, but it's coming. It's almost here, folks. This is the thing, right? Is that we this is for people like us, where he comes in to Tony and he immediately addresses the audience, where it's like, we're doing this tournament, and by the way, we're putting in, like, you know, one of the, you know, probably the greatest North American wrestler to ever do it, by the way. So you can only assume that the field will be as competitive. That's what we want. The field will only be as good. Well, the tournament will only be as good as the field. Will they be adding more people in here? You know, Chad was talking about Claudio being thrown in here. I think that's a natural, you know, he's a natural for that. He was kind of mentioning about, hey, maybe I should do a G1. Okay, let's toss him in there. Let's in this type of tournament, you have to toss in your guys who come across as the most authentic. Is this going to be a work rate tournament? Hopefully, that's kind of what I want. I think that's the expectation, but that's the expectation. That's kind of what we want. These are the guys that have to. It's these types of guys that Tony has to get on there. A couple of invites from overseas. Look, World Tag League is going to be going on over the next few weeks. Maybe there's one guy, maybe two from the other company that Gedo can be like, sure, but like, don't expect, like, I wouldn't expect Kazuchika Okada, you know, who's got a match with Bryan Danielson. Although you could see them like doing a bit of cross promotion for Wrestle Kingdom, but then again, it's not AEW's responsibility to promote another promotion show, you know. But it could be for fans, it'd be fun. But I temper that expectation right now. And besides, why would Gedo risk Okada getting hurt in any way, shape, or form at this point? Who else? Like maybe they could send in a guy like, you know, Minoru Suzuki. He's not doing anything. You know, might not be the most exciting choice, but he's over in North America. People really like him. Tomohiro Ishii, Mr. G1 himself. I'm pretty sure he's going to have zippity zilch to do at Wrestle Kingdom this year. Of course he's got, well, again, that's not a good, the last two choices, I'm just realizing as I'm saying them, those last two choices are not, they're nonsensical because they're both in tag league. Minoru Suzuki's in a tag with Nagata, and Suzuki is with Toriano. Not Suzuki. Ishii is with Toriano, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that doesn't make sense. I was just thinking of who's available at Wrestle Kingdom, but there's look. Welcome to the live thought processes of Warren Hayes. Hey, Fred Moreland, is that you? Inviting yourself on my show again. It's good to see you, pal. Fred Moreland of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungry AEW podcast that you can listen to on your favorite podcast application. And also on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Good guy, Fred. He was here. He said I invited himself on his show. That's kind of how it went, but, you know, I have full discretion. And he was here a few weeks ago. We did the State of the AEW thing. Might have to do that soon again. But, look, there might be some people that could be sent over on loan, is my point. But, you know, I don't think any of the big Wrestle Kingdom names are going to be really available. I don't see why Gedo would send anyone, you know, who's not in Tag League and who has a spot at Wrestle Kingdom. I don't see why he'd give everyone up. There's already so many people injured heading into Wrestle Kingdom. You know, Naito, El Desperado, Goto. I mean, Goto's better. They're all going to be fine, you know, but, you know, Naito's getting the eye surgery again, and Despy's getting surgery, and fucking Goto is, he's feeling better. He's going to be back in time for, there's just so many people like on the outs right now. I don't think he'd want to risk his big show. So, there could be, hey, you could bring in some guys from CMLL, right? Then that means all the AAA guys that you can't be on the shows, but, just spice it up a little bit. Look, but at the same time, it's not as if Tony Khan doesn't have the depth of roster to pull this off all by himself. There's also that. And in the context of this tournament, it could be a lot of fun. And I think it has to make an impression. I think it has to be really good. Whether or not Danielson is when he says that this is it'll be the greatest tournament of all time, whether or not that's, promoter speak or not, whether he's just overhyping it or not, they absolutely have to put their best foot forward here and make this significant. Otherwise, I hate to say it, otherwise it'll just come across as another Owen Hart tournament where it's like, it just happens and, it feels hastily put together and we plow through it and then we remember you, Owen, which is fine, but I think there's something very special that could come out of the Continental Classic. AEW could have the North American G1 if they really wanted to do it. A smaller field, 12 guys. I think it's a good size. I think it's interesting. It'll keep things moving along really fast, especially maybe for audiences who aren't used to round robins. This will probably help them get really into it. But what we need, and this is not what we need, is before November 22nd, before the Dynamite starts off with the first rounds of the tournament, we need to have the full field of both leagues. We need to know who's in A block. We need to know who's in B block. Why? Because that's part of what's fun of a wrestling tournament. Seeing who's where, and then for getting down and speculating and drawing maps out and points and so on and so forth. That's the fun of this type of tournament. So if we get to in 2 weeks' time now, and we still don't know who's in this tournament, or they announce it the night of, and we're starting with the opening match, Jon Moxley and, John Silver, A block action starting tonight. I'll be very disappointed. And will be a continued testament that AEW is very slapdash these days when it comes to putting things together. Because here's the thing. I've discovered that I am starting to get the same types of feelings when AEW announces things and puts things together as when WWE would do back when I was still watching it, in the last couple of years towards the end, where you get really hopeful for a thing and you're like, man, this would really be fun. It could really be awesome. It's like when people think about the draft and they're like, oh, the exciting possibilities about the draft. And then it just turns out, who cares? Everything always turns out to be not what I was expecting, not as fun as what I thought. And there was a time I'd probably be really excited about this from AEW, from this type of offering, but it's not necessarily the case anymore. Where now I have this trepidation where I'm like, yes, I want to be excited, but I feel like I've spent enough goodwill that I can't naturally just rub my hands together and going, this is a slam dunk for AEW. This couldn't happen in a better company. Like, I'm hopeful, but it's the same kind of hope. It's the same kind of hopeful I had. Listen, it's the same kind of hopeful I had a few years ago. Can't remember which year, when they brought back the King of the Ring. You remember this? When they brought back the King of the Ring and, Xavier Woods got injured and he couldn't do it, right? It was the year, the Baron Corbin thing, where then suddenly Baron Corbin was a serious professional wrestler, But then WWE got in its own way and started giving us fuck finishes throughout the tournament. Then there was one round that was a 3-way. And I'm like, well, okay, what the fuck? Like, none of this matters anymore. Like, even WWE has to WWE up a something as basic as a tournament, you know? So I'm like, man. So this is the kind of trepidation that I'm feeling, where I'm like, this should be good. But, you know, we need to get strong matches. We need to get strong candidates. It doesn't even bother me all that much if there's no one from the outside coming into this tournament. If there's no special invited guests, it doesn't, like, that's not what counts. What counts to me is that this tournament brings back the work, the matches, the big time matches, and then and they blow us away. And we finish this tournament saying, God damn, I can't wait for next year. This ruled. Because it could be a benchmark. It could become AEW's biggest attraction of the year. It could be the thing that is, you know, on a yearly basis, catered to the nerds, to people like me, probably like you, that this is what they want out of their AEW, their North American wrestling, giving them something special. It could be that. It could be that. It has the potential to do that. But AEW is such in a weird place right now that I have AEW is such in a weird place, is in such a weird place right now that it's difficult for me to get really hype about it. You know, if we start getting, you know, disqualifications and, you know, fuck finishes, it's just going to take the charm out of it. You know, sports-based storytelling tournament, it sells itself. You don't have to overthink it. You really don't have to overthink it. It's a tournament. And if you book it well, the drama will create itself. And we'll sit here and we'll recap the previous week of the Continental Classic, and then we'll give the standings, and then we'll project who's getting eliminated. This shit is fun. It's fun. You really only have one chance to make a first impression, and I hope Tony doesn't fuck it up. So here's my wish list. All right, here's my wish list. I want the fields announced before Dynamite hits the air on November 22nd. I want them announced before I sit down to watch Dynamite on November 22nd. I want nothing but great workers. There'll probably be a job. There might be a Kip Sabian in there. You know, someone has to take the O. Someone has to take the donuts, right? There might be an Alex Reynolds. Might be a Darius Martin. You know, these things matter, right? But I want great workers. I want the field announced ahead of time. And I want sports-based storytelling, tournament storytelling. Don't need wacky ass angles to get me interested. Don't need to. That's my wish list. And I feel it's fairly simple. But I shudder to think, with all the producers that he has back there, hanging around, doing stuff, putting things together, I shudder to think. Thinking about the old King of the Rings. I don't know. Just a couple of quick newsy notes. Not necessarily things that I have a ton of thoughts about, but that are happening, and we just want to have them on the record. We just want to touch on them, right? Because it's news, such as Vince McMahon selling over like 30% of his stock. His shares of TKO. He did that last week. selling to the amount of 700 million of Class A stock in TKO. Here is the statement that TKO issued on the matter. TKO Group Holdings, Inc., a premium sports and entertainment company, excuse me, today announced that one of its stockholders, Mr. Vincent K. McMahon, intends to offer for sale in an underwritten secondary offering 8,400,000 shares of the company's Class A common stock per value, pursuant to the company's shelf registration statement filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, of which the company intends to repurchase from the underwriter approximately 100 million of shares of our Class A common stock. So essentially, so essentially Vince is divesting himself of 30% of his stock, and Endeavor is buying him back, is purchasing them back. That should be approximately $713 million that he's selling back. Now, hey, King of the North, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Now, here's what's interesting. A member of the Mr. Warren Hayes show, King of the North, I should say. Hey, let's not devalue that. We got to put some emphasis on that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your membership. I don't think there's not much analysis to be had at this point, because there's a number of reasons why Vince could be doing this. He could just want some liquidity, which is possible. He could be looking to divest himself a little bit of shares. Maybe he's slowly preparing his exit, like properly, which is possible as well. I mean, we don't know, right? We're not privy to this information, and only time will tell moving forward. Maybe he's just taking the piss to Ari Emanuel. I mean, these are all guys with massive, incredible egos. Ari Emanuel, over the past couple of weeks, had when he was on doing the media circuit and talking stock numbers, talking about how bad the TKO stock is, not quite as high as they had hoped. Definitely not soaring to the heights that they had anticipated at this point. Amongst the reasons that Ari was giving out, he was saying, hey, you know what, Vince McMahon and, this is what he's basically, he blames essentially the new Raw deal, the new SmackDown deal coming in at not quite as high as anticipated, right? That's one of the main reasons there. But he also says, that he also said that, Vince at the same time with the investigations going around, he's like, oh, well, maybe Vince, Vince at the same time in his baggage might be turning off some investors. I'm like, oh, you don't say, pal. Really now? So and we know, look, a guy like Vince, who hasn't had a boss, hasn't had anyone over him for like fucking 50 years at this point, or to that 40 years, back when he worked with his dad, essentially. This is a guy who does not like being told what to do. If you've got Ari Emanuel going out there and saying, well, you know what, Vince, well, Vince, who is a shark and who understands how all of this works, can go, oh yeah, well, if you think the stock is bad now, wait till one of the company's executive board members decides to dump 30% of his stock. Let's see how the market reacts. I pointed this out when we were talking on Going Broadway, which is the members only stream that happens on Fridays, which is available only to members of the YouTube channel, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. I had mentioned, I said, look, the strategy Vince did here to announce this cannot be faulted. Because this is what he decided. Hey, little Kuzi, nice to see you and welcome. Here's what's really, really interesting, is he decided to do this on a Thursday. At the end of the day, either markets had closed or were on the verge of closing, right? And he does this on a Thursday. And you say, well, Warren, who cares? What's the big point? Well, there's still another full day of trading the next day. So the insecurity that Vince created in regards to the investors, the shareholders, will carry over to the next morning when people wake up and they're like, oh God, yeah, I got to get rid of this TKO stock. You know, there's something happening there. So that's absolutely a thing. If he had been really, really, really strategic and really wanted to protect stuff, he would have done this announcement at the end of on a Friday, end of the day, trading is done. You've got 2 days before the markets reopen on Monday. It sort of falls to the wayside. People forget about it. It doesn't become news. It doesn't become like a thing that is carried over until the next day. For real, like this is how news cycles in 2023 happen now. If you go over the 48-hour threshold, it's old news. It will not be as impactful as the next day. So Vince knew what he was doing here. So the point that the only thing that makes sense to me in this situation is that Vince wanted to teach someone a lesson, and there's something going on. There's something happening, right? There's just a thing happening. So, and we're not, you know, this is behind the scenes stuff. You know, again, we're we're talking about this in the chat, right? It's like we're all talking about this. We're talking about this because it's Vince McMahon, because this man has been, he is the most prominent living historical figure in professional wrestling today. This man is so of course for us wrestling nerds, we follow this because it's Vince. But this happens in what was that with my voice? But this happens in corporations all over the world all the time. Hey, I listened to Succession. Thank you, DGMC. Halfway through season 4, Bleed the Swede. But it's interesting. It's interesting because this didn't happen. I said, I speculated earlier. I was like, oh, maybe Vince is a little strapped for cash. If he's a little strapped for cash, he doesn't divest himself of a third of his shares. That's what this is the point. Look, is there something going on? Probably. Do we know what it is? No. Will it all come full circle in a year, in a couple of years, when whatever narrative started with this, when it all comes full circle, we'll probably look back on this in a year, in 2 years, whenever this all comes to fruition, whenever what this is comes to fruition, and we'll be like, oh, it all started when Vince sold 30% of his shares. Like that, I think it's just something we need to underscore. We need to point out, because it's fascinating stuff. I think it's fascinating. And it's really odd at the same time when you had Ari Emanuel in the lead up to this going, oh yeah, no, Vince is he's essential to the deal, right? He's crucial to the deal. I wouldn't go down if he wasn't there. And then all of a sudden, this shit rules. This is let the rich eat themselves and we'll sit back and we'll try and make sense of this morality play. More little news items here. The Bunny was removed from AEW's roster page, and it was since confirmed according to PW Insider, that the Bunny has left AEW by mutual agreement with the company. She, of course, was one of the originals of AEW. Her last match was on September 8th, losing in a trios match. And she just wrestled 3 times for the company in 2023. She had an orbital. Look, you think I'm making shit up with the long-term story regarding the stroke? You think I'm making shit up? You just wait. Just wait till it like completely happens on screen. Imagine the views. Y'all better subscribe and send super chats while while my face melts away. So the Bunny suffered an orbital bone injury that kept her out of action for a while as well. And now, well, her AEW tenure is done. Now, I have seen multiple people bemoaning this and saying, you know, how terrible it is, how awful and whatnot. And listen, this might just be what's best for her. You know, TNA's getting real hot again. They resurrected Eric Young. You know, she was killed in the Sue Young verse, in the Rosemary verse, in the, I can't remember what they call it. Father James Mitchell is part of that universe too, by the way. And just throwing that out there. But listen, no, but you know, here's the thing is that she, oh, Chad, she's, a lot of people are bemoaning this, but at the same time, what was her added value in AEW? And I don't want to go full on cruel here, but I feel like every time someone leaves a company, it's this, and especially AEW, it becomes like this tremendous ordeal of, you know, of shirt ripping, you know, and tears pouring down. It's like, not another one. What is going on? And I'm like, listen, we have to think about this objectively. I like the Bunny enough. She's a good little wrestler. She's fine. I don't know why suddenly this is this tremendous failure of AEW to capitalize on what? Every time I ask someone, well, okay, what's your favorite? What are your favorite bunnies? What are your favorite Bunny matches? And they all bring up the hardcore match, you know, the tag team hardcore match that she had with Anna Jay and Penelope Ford and Ty Conchi, right? That's always the match that comes up. And complete blank. Why? Because that's the Bunny. She's a near 20-year veteran. She's 36 years old. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, I'd like to tell you that she's going to improve and but this is, at this stage in her career, this is what you get. This is WYSIWYG. There's no changing the Bunny at this point. She's a fine little wrestler. She's okay. And on top of it all, it is healthy for pro wrestlers to go off and do things elsewhere, especially when they're stuck in a rut and they can't seem to get out of it. Go elsewhere, stretch your legs, try something else. There's no big loss to bemoan here. It's the same thing with Jade. Only Jade was booked as much more of a star. Don't get me wrong. But Jade is in the same situation where it's like, the Jade Cargill experiment was never going to pay off in AEW. She is in the perfect spot right now for that to happen, right? And we're talking about Andrade. I think Andrade is a pretty good example too. I think only Andrade gets into Andrade's way when it comes to his career, but I get the point, Where we, so it's the same thing with Jade, and Jade left and is like, oh, that's it. It's the end of AEW and so on and so forth. Look, we made a lot of fun of Brian Pillman Jr., but good on him for being able to try something out elsewhere because, folks, it was not going to happen in AEW. And if it's not going to happen in AEW and in MLW, is it going to happen at all? But for real, it's just like there's no bemoaning. There's no it's nothing to get bent out of shape over. Good for her. I'm willing to bet 50 Canadian rubber bucks that she's going to end up on TNA. TNA is going to have tons of buzz in the new year. Capitalize on that. Go back, use that. Be at the forefront. Do shit. But I don't know what you're expecting out of the bunny. She's a fine wrestler who is 36 years old. What you see is what you get. Let's just move on. It's fine. That's all. Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling is here. Nice to see you and welcome. Welcome. We've also got Silver Apocalypse has joined us. Good to see you as well. Nice little packed house we've got tonight. I love seeing, this is what's great when we record this on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you ever want to join us here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, that'd be great. It sounds weird saying that to the chat right now, but I'm going to keep this in the audio after, you see. Don't worry. This is not officially the stroke starting. I still know, I'm still part of the timeline. That's fine. But this is what's fun, is that you get the people popping in, you see faces that you haven't seen in a while, some old friends, so on and so on. It's good times. This is great. Thank you for being here. Another little news item. Throughout all this CW debacle last week with NXT and NWA and whatnot, it was also learned that a CW executive approached Tony Khan to get Ring of Honor on television during that period. So it's Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling. This is what he reported. A high-level CW executive approached Khan at the LA Forum in June 2022 about bringing Ring of Honor content to the network. And while Khan enjoyed visiting with the executive, Khan did not want to pursue the talks because he doesn't want to seriously entertain discussions about a Ring of Honor deal until AEW's television rights are no longer in play. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And this is also something that a lot of us have speculated about Tony and Ring of Honor, is that he does not want, he enjoys his relationship with Warner Bros. Discovery, which was just Warner Bros. Previously. Don't forget, he purchases Ring of Honor, and he's getting sort of antsy about getting it on TV, and then there's the whole then there's an entire change of ownership. So he wants to look good for the new owners at the same time. He doesn't want to start fucking around with these people. He wants to play nice. He wants to build good, solid relationships with all these new owners, with Zaslav and who the fuck else. But then, so what does that do? It's like CW comes over and is like, hey, wouldn't you like to have your Ring of Honor stuff on my network? And he's like, yeah, but I can't right now. And that's something that we had speculated, that he was holding off on negotiating elsewhere for Ring of Honor. That's why, he slapped it on Honor Club. So that he could continue holding really good relationships with his with Warner Bros. Discovery, and that makes sense. And I think we kind of have, considering the report is accurate, of considering some of Nick Hausman's top sources, I would assume it's pretty accurate. It would make perfect sense to me that this guy is that Tony Khan was like, no, I can't do it, not yet. It's not a good time. Timing is off, and it kind of sucks for Ring of Honor. Honestly, imagine if there had been Ring of Honor on CW. I think that would have been a tremendous boon for the promotion. Would have probably been its best TV deal ever, And but in regards to but now it's NXT, and it's NXT that's going to benefit from it, and all right, that's all good. But I understand the business aspect of it. I understand why he decided not to entertain any offers, and why would he? Quite honestly, why would he? There we go. So all little that's very interesting. Oh, and one last thing before we get on to the Full Gear preview. I know I'm a little late to the party on this one, but you have to watch Yuma Aoyagi versus Katsuhiko Nakajima for the All Japan Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship, November 5th, AJPW Giant Series 2023. You have to watch that match. It's an easy 5 stars. It's an easy match of the year. It's brutal, full force, just two guys beating the shit out of each other for all our enjoyment. And it's just tremendous stuff. Nakajima he came into All Japan a bit of an invader, coming in here as I'm from a bigger promotion. I'm a big deal. I'm here to entertain you plebes. And he comes in and he fights Aoyagi, who is a solid pro wrestler, very good pro wrestler. Not to be trifled with. And Nakajima just beat the shit out of him. Aoyagi got some offense in. It's not like it's not Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. We're not talking that kind of destruction, but Nakajima just took him apart. He picked him apart. And tremendous strikes, just a hard-hitting, violent match. Great stuff. Like I often like to say, I'm a simple man. Sometimes it doesn't take much to get me excited, to make me happy, and this was exactly that. And here's the thing. Here's the big thing. And I know some of you are about to get some ads right now, so don't worry, I won't say anything super crucial. But here's the thing. He challenges, after he's won the title, he challenges Kento Miyahara, a man that he legitimately does not like. They have beef going all the way back to when they were teenagers breaking into the business, right? It's that kind of thing. And they do that. So they do that. And so now they do that. And Nakajima does that. He challenges Miyahara, who's there in the audience, and they don't like each other. And they had a match earlier this year in July, I want to say. In July, it was a Noah show. It was in Corkin Hall. And that was another tremendous match. And a match that a lot of people didn't think was going to happen because the story goes that they have legitimate beef with each other, but they know that they can draw money together. So they're like, let's set our shit aside. There goes the stroke again. Let's set our shit aside and draw. Let's make some money together. And they get together, they have this tremendous match, and now they're getting the rematch. And it's going to be for the title. So you can probably, in these interpromotional things, at some point a guy has to get his win back. So one would assume that this is a way for Miyahara to get his win back on Nakajima And in the biggest way possible, winning the title back, and, saving All Japan, or rescuing All Japan from this invader and whatnot, being the hero, which is always kind of like how Miyahara's positioned himself, right? So this will be coming up, and I think this is, it's going to be tremendous. Don't get me wrong. And I don't know how far back they planned this, but if this can't be all just like happenstance and circumstance. This has to have been planned out. And kudos to everyone for planning this out so well. So everyone basically is seeing Miyahara, right, winning the Triple Crown back. Because there's also speculation, right, that Nakajima he's not sticking around in All Japan. He's fucking off. He's going to the big rumors that he's going to New Japan. And I mean, it makes a ton of sense. I would love to see. Look, I would love to see. I would love to see Nakajima in a have a G1 run. That's what I'd like to see. I think it'd be great. Could someone make that happen for me? Could someone make that happen? Maybe that's what's happening. That's still the big rumor. So those were some little bits and bobs of news. This weekend, it is AEW Full Gear. God, we love ourselves a Full Gear. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. It is happening at the Kia Forum in Los Angeles, California. How are we doing for ticket sales? I should have prepared for this. I should have made sure that I was ready for my podcast recording. Just make sure everything is in tip-top shape, and get all the little nuggets of information all together. But hey, you know what? You're gonna have to bear with me for a second here as we get the information. So Full Gear 2023. Hey, you know what? Good numbers. I have nothing really to say so far. I like these are right now. AEW is posting some very good numbers for Full Gear 2023, according to WrestleTix, of course. 10,461 tickets distributed. Setups for 11,787. This has got to feel good. This has got to feel good for AEW to get a show that we're a week into it. We're very close, but nonetheless, and a pay-per-view on top of that. That's doing really good. Like Wrestle Dream, right? 6,771. All Out did under 10,000, 9,826. Now we're breaking over 10,000. The walk-up business has been very good for AEW recently, so you can expect, I think it's possible to consider that we might break 11,000, 11,500, maybe. I think it's feasible. It's something that you can that you can see happening. But and I see in the chat, we're talking about, hey, you know what? It doesn't feel like a $50 pay-per-view, so on and so forth. And I'm like, hey, you're gonna have to get used to that, folks, because we're doing 12 pay-per-views a year now. If there's going to be a pay-per-view in January that's going to be announced, and there's going to be, there's going to be one in February, and Revolution's going to be in March, and so on and so forth. So this is what's going to happen. Like the days of having your premium AEW papes, it's done. And until the booking gets as good as it used to, I don't see. I have trouble seeing how any upcoming pay-per-view is really going to get you super excited, right? But here's the thing. Until we're proven wrong, you can never bet against an AEW pay-per-view. Because people were saying the same thing about Wrestle Dream, and they were saying the same thing about All In. All Out, All Out, fantastic show. Wrestle Dream, one of the best pay-per-views of the year. And we were saying the exact same thing. Yeah, I mean, come on, you know. And then the show ends and you're sweaty, you're excited, you can't fall asleep. That's how it goes. So, yeah, the AEW pay-per-views are in the spot that takeovers were back in the glory days of the takeovers, right? Back when the takeovers were 5-show affairs that were on the Saturday of one of the big 5 WWE pay-per-views. You'd never want to miss one of those. Takeovers were can't miss. Critical acclaim, fan acclaim, they were perfect wrestling shows. AEW pay-per-views are still in that category where it's like, yeah, you can't discount it. You can't bet against it. You just can't. So even if the card looks weak, I'm probably going to be sitting here. Look, and I'm not saying, this is not a guarantee. As another guy would say, this is not a spoiler. But there's a very fair chance, nonetheless, that I'm going to be sitting here next Tuesday. I'm going to be going, I'll be doing this. I'll be going, what are we doing? This was fantastic. What a great show. Like, there's a fair chance. Just like there's a fair chance that I might come here and then be like, well, look, it kind of turned out to be so-so, okay, a dud, whatever. A dud, I'd be surprised. Too many talented people on this show to be a dud. But, look, I mean, Double or Nothing this year was probably their worst pay-per-view outing since the beginning of the company. It still wasn't like a terrible show. It was just very there, things happening. Look. Let's get into the preview. Let's see what's cooking on this show. As we say hello to Justin Firestein. Nice to see you, Justin, and welcome. So, of course, this is an incomplete card. I'm recording this on a Tuesday evening. We've still got we still have 5 hours of AEW programming this week to get through before the pay-per-view. So there will likely be additions. But we'll go with what we know now. It's mostly the big matches. Regardless, I think anything else that's added is going to be, just filler, get people on the show, etc. Pre-show is going to have MJF and TBA taking on the Guns for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. If you're looking for the preview show that is going to speculate with you as to whether or not the brochachos stuff is going to be involved, or whether the devil's going to show up, and is Adam Cole going to be is going to consider to be treacherous, and all the is going to turn out to be treacherous and can't be trusted, all that stuff. If you're looking for that, this ain't it, because I'm not here for that stuff. I'm here for Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the great pro wrestler. Whatever he's doing here is nonsense and garbage, and it hurts my head. He knows it. I still have to grow a funny bone, apparently. So all it is, I like the whole purveying story, I don't care. And, last week, we talked about it on the Dynamite review, how MJF was just permeated the show. The opening segment, the cold open for Dynamite last week had MJF, conversing with 3 different people in 3 different feuds. He's involved in 4 different angles. It's legitimately, that Simpsons bit where it's like, whenever Poochie is not on screen, the other characters have to be saying, "Where's Poochie?" Right? That's exactly how this is turned into. And no, Uncomplete is not Canadian. That's, again, another symptom of the oncoming stroke, but thank you for your concern. I think it's Samoa Joe that's going to come out here and help out Max, and he's going to guilt Max into giving him a championship shot, probably at World's End. And if you're asking me to book this, if you are, twisting my arm on how to book this, hey, listen, this is what you do. You have Max retain the title at Full Gear. You have him face Samoa Joe at World's End, and you have Samoa Joe beat him clean for the title. And then you unveil who the fuck the devil is, and you move on with this shit so that we never have to do a brochacho thing ever again. Ever again. And I am completely okay with Samoa Joe. World champion Samoa Joe? Sure. Any day of the fucking week, pal. Anyway, we're not there yet. So listen, MJF retains, and I don't care. Or maybe, Samoa Joe comes in and as his partner and forces Max to lose. And again, I don't care. I don't care. I really couldn't care less. I guess the Guns have been doing good work as Bullet Club Gold goofballs. Maybe Tony just wants to reward them with a little something for their hard work. I don't know. I don't care. Hikaru Shida will be defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Timeless Toni Storm. I think the writing is on the wall here. Transitional champion Hikaru Shida strikes again. We get the belt back on Toni. She's the most over woman in the company right now. What are we doing? That's all. It's just that simple. That's all there is to it. But it's kind of like when I had my meltdown a couple of weeks ago. A lot of us had meltdowns recently. Oh Lord, I wish I hated pro wrestling more. Listen, the more you see people doing, these angles and characters and storylines and all that, and getting themselves over, and Tony Khan going, yeah, let's give them airtime, the more you've got people on the undercard who are not being pushed on TV, who are rubbing their chins and going up to the producers and I've got an idea to pitch you. And they, zany stuff. And it's like, I'm a BMX champion. I do stunts on my BMX and I dress like I'm in the 90s and they call me Rad Kid. And you write out my name. My logo is like, in those pointy, 90s type fonts, Rad Kid. And this is, I don't know, Action Andretti pitching this. And then suddenly Action Andretti's like, he's Rad Kid. And he has a BMX bike and he does stunts and that gets him over. See, I never hire me to do creative for your wrestling show. I think this is a cautionary tale. What were we talking about? Yeah, so that's the thing. So listen, I know there are some people who absolutely loathe the timeless Tony thing. I look, I like Tony Storm too much to be off-put by this. Is it a little too much? Yes, it's very too much. You know, I think it could have been. I think it could have been like something really interesting in regards to if she had just that, you know, something more like Chelsea Green's old hot mess character. Remember that? Closer to that than I am a silver screen movie star thing. And then, you know, they're changing. They're changing. You know, they do the black and white thing with the film grain and all that. That's it. It goes too far. You know, and then it just hammers you over the head, and you're like, I'm not an imbecile. You know, I understand it, and this is not adding value. Maybe if she had been like, you know, a psychotic break, which is what a lot of us thought she was going through at first. I kind of like that. Now she's a movie star. It's not a psychotic. She has Luther. She has her butler, and now she's gonna have fucking Mariah May. You know, it's like it's all kind of nonsense. But it's Toni Storm, and she's one of the best women's wrestlers out there, and she's tremendous. I just wish all this stuff wouldn't get in the way. And Shida, well, Shida's eating shit again. The first 3-time AEW Women's Champion, but you know the first 2-time transitional champion. Let's just be honest. Let's just call it what it is. This is what it is. Did I say Toni Storm wins? That's my prediction. Staying Darby Allin and Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage, Lucius. I swear this is not a bit. I am not doing this on purpose. And Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne are going to be facing off in a 6-man tag team match. Look, you know, this is all part of the Sting farewell tour, and you know, it's fine, and it's okay. Like, I'm not particularly invested in this. I don't know when we are ready to throw baby out with the bathwater here in regards to the Adam Copeland run, because I don't think when he joined AEW, I mean, I'm not going to serve a harsh judgment just yet. But when he joined AEW, anyone who listened to the show at the time knew that I myself was a little reticent. I love how Chad is making fun of my speech impediment tonight. Thank you. You're all very supportive. He's got this thing where I was very reticent because I was like, look, he can come in and he can try something else. He can, maybe we'll see a side of Adam Copeland that we haven't seen, and you know, AEW maybe will give him the creative freedom to do what he wants, you know, without the constraints of so on and so forth. But it turns out that this is another guy that is WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. He's pretty much still the same guy that you saw on World Wrestling Entertainment Programming. He's still pretty much the same guy. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. He's the rated R superstar. Good on him for having control over his IP. Good on him for having, you know, the rights to Metalingus or whatever the fuck it's called. Good on him for all of those things. His presentation is, but look, there's a lot of us who think this way. This is not a novelty, but Adam Copeland, completely unproven draw, not a visible business metric mover, not a KPI hitter, not a target swatter in any way, shape, or form. And you can see with the shows that he's been on, not necessarily pushing tickets. I would say he's not popping the quarter hours as the hip ratings nerds like to say. He's just completely there, just like stuff happening. And he talks and his promos are breathless. He talks so much, I run out of breath. I'm exhausted for him. Me who talks for 3 hours on end every Tuesday night. You know what I mean? So, I'm not, and look, his matches, there's nothing to write home about. It's really nothing to be, So, look, I want to see where this program leads, but had I been booking this, I would even dare say, if this was the AEW of old, we would have held off from having Christian Cage and Adam Copeland even be in the same ring together. Absolutely. Adam Copeland would have gone off and had a little feud with someone else. You would have had a nice little feud with the Dark Order or whatever the fuck, right? And you can have you could have made all sorts of Judgment Day references and jokes, and everyone would have got the ha-has and it'd be fine. But then you always have Christian Cage in the background, maybe, taking a swipe at him once in a while. Don't forget, Christian Cage's position was like, I don't want anything to do with you, right? That's always been the thing. And Adam Copeland was like, I don't want to fight my friend. Well, then don't. And drag this out. I think this program could have been much better served if we had really stretched it out. If it had been led down the road a lot more than this. I don't know. But this is, again, this is part of, Sting's farewell tour. So, I don't know, was Sting looking forward to a dream match with, wrestling with Adam Copeland? And is Ric Flair going to be there? Anyway. Orange Cassidy is going to be defending the AEW International Championship against Jon Moxley. An unfortunate little curvy, swervy, turvy, wibbly wobbly turn that we took here in the booking of the international title after Orange Cassidy won it. I still maintain that I understand Jon Moxley gets hurt, and that throws a wrench in the plan for the rematch, which was absolutely the plan. I don't think that's even up for debate, right? I think, right, chat? I think that was clear, right? Cassidy wins the title at Wrestle Dream. It is a crowning achievement for the career of a guy who came in and everyone perceived as a joke, but then turned out to just put more and more, just put out quality, consistent matches, creating an unparalleled connection with the audience. He is one of the most over guys in the company and has been practically from the start. One of the biggest merch pushers for AEW. He's a star for the company. And now it was like about time to move him forward, and he's adjusting. He's tweaking the Orange Cassidy character, not just to be the complete layabout anymore. Now it's like, no, I need a little fire, I need a little pa, but he's not abandoning the Orange Cassidy gimmick, right? You come to the, you use what brought you to the dance. You don't suddenly become something else, now that you're at the dance, you bring it with you. So he's still, he's still the guy. You can still see the things, and then he gets the things that make him interesting, unique, and then he gets his big match with Jon Moxley. He loses, but he gets elevated in defeat. It's one of those victories, one of those losses, excuse me, but which is also a victory, which is why I got both confused. That and the fact that I'm, infinitely old. So I still feel that even though we were thrown for a loop with Moxley suddenly having to step away because of the concussion and Rey Fenix ending up with the title, I still feel Orange Cassidy was brought in a direction that did not behoove the finish that he got. I believe he should have disappeared. And I still believe this, disappeared for weeks. I would have brought him back at Revolution, in time for Revolution. Sell the fucking beating that Moxley gave him. Sell the injuries that he had been carrying for the better part of his year-long reign as international champion, so that he goes away, and sometimes in pro wrestling, and in fact, probably even most of the time, absence makes the heart grow fonder. It comes back to a huge reaction. People they're like, Orange is back. He's been gone since September. It's the greatest moment of our life. Did I say he won the title at Wrestle Dream? He didn't, right? He won the title. He lost the title in September at All Out. That was the main event. My timelines get confused. Anyway, since that, so I don't feel like he's been used on the station that they had elevated him to. Because next thing you know, I'm sitting there and I'm going, fuck, he's doing things with Hook. What the fuck are we doing? Sending him back down on the lower mid card. No disrespect. That's where Hook is. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then the guy isn't doing anything interesting where he was the workhorse. And I understand. Look, at some point, the guy's body just needs to rest. At some point, he was wrestling these big matches 2 to 3 times a week. Like, it's fine. Don't worry. I'm not saying that he has to work himself to death. But it's just like such a weird dichotomy. Then Mox gets hurt, and then you feel like the title is like in a swamp. So what do? Well, they put it back on Orange when they put it back on Orange because Phoenix was hurt. So they couldn't even keep it on the guy that they had put it on because that guy was hurt. They couldn't keep him around long enough for Jon Moxley to feel better to come and beat up Rey Fenix again, take his title back so that we could get the match of Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley with Moxley as champion. And this time around, OC winning the title back from Mox, becoming champion again and vindicating his loss. Now, OC's the champ. He can still beat Mox. And the story of this match really is, can Orange Cassidy beat Jon Moxley this time? Will he have what it takes? Has he learned from his previous match? And ultimately, that's what pro wrestling is about in these types of situations where it is a time-tested, perfect wrestling story that you could tell. Is Orange Cassidy, does he have what it takes to beat Jon Moxley this time? You want to be bold with your booking? You want to do something interesting? You want to give the pencil to WarrenHayes? This is what WarrenHayes does. He loses the title this weekend at Full Gear. Because no, he still can't beat Jon Moxley. He's not there yet. And that's okay. And we drag this shit out to Revolution. We get the third match. I don't care that Moxley is 2-0 on him. It doesn't give me... The story is Orange Cassidy has a nemesis as one guy he can't beat, and it's Jon Moxley, and he has to dig deep. He has to learn from his mistakes. He has to build himself back up. He has to put himself back into contendership for the title. If we had the rating system, this would be tremendous. But we don't. So you just have to figure out this headcanon in your brain. But that's what I do. There is much more value. And as much as I love Orange Cassidy and I will defend Orange Cassidy, there is a serious case for Orange Cassidy as Wrestler of the Year in 2023. I'm not saying that he will win it. I'm not saying he's even mine. I'm saying there's a case for it. Arguable, demonstrable. Despite how great his year was and how much I think the guy is tremendous, how much he's elevated, how much he gets this business, how much he understands it, how much he's able to stay true to his goofy gimmick, yet continue to elevate himself. Just slight reinvention, which is tremendous. Despite all of that, I still think he should lose. He should lose at Full Gear because he's not quite there yet. And that's a story I can get behind. That gets my blood pumping. That's some long-term storytelling. That's some long-term booking. But I'm not confident that's what we're going to get. We're going to get the 50-50. I don't give a shit about 50-50. OC loses again. It's a heartbreaking defeat. And then imagine the third time. Who cares if Mox... This is a situation where the day that Orange Cassidy beats Jon Moxley is the day that Orange Cassidy wins the feud, no matter how many losses he took. Do we perceive that Kazuchika Okada won his feud against Kenny Omega because he has more wins? Is that... No. No one perceives that. Everyone's like, finally, Kenny got the big one. That's what I think should happen. Look, I'll tell you, if Jon Moxley goes over at Full Gear this weekend, I will come on this podcast next week and I will say there is still hope for this company. Mark my words. Hangman Adam Page will be taking on Swerve Strickland in a Texas death match. Talked about it on the Collision review. I think this, look, as bad as the home invasion was, I was going to say corny, but no, it's not just corny. It was just bad. As bad as the home invasion angle was, the sentiment behind it now for Hangman is that this is personal. And now he just wants to beat him into an inch of his life, despite the fact that there was no one in the house. He didn't do anything to Hangman's wife or his infant son. He didn't do any to, but I get it. It's personal. Hangman wants him dead. He's using very strong verbal barbs, saying, Swerve, I'm going to put you into the ground and I'm going to go with my son and I'm going to watch him piss on your grave. I'm like, holy shit, Hangman, let's fucking go. It makes perfect sense that he brings up the Texas Death Match. It is Hangman's match in AEW. That's his. He brings it out, and he hasn't lost one yet. So he brings it out. He says, not only am I... So he's playing smart. He's like, oh, you want to play by some rules? We're going to play by mine. We're going to play by my rules. So we're going to play in my match. The match that I've never lost in. You're toast, brother. Essentially. I'm fine with this. Makes perfect sense. And I'm excited for it. I know Hangman's not booked on Dynamite yet. I don't think he will. I think he's going to show up and he's going to kick some ass again. Look, I love both of these guys. I've been an Adam Page fan since his like a true blue Adam Page fan since his tag team with Kenny. And I thought his output was tremendous, and I was seeing the qualities that people were tacking on to him. Swerve, this is a Swerve Strickland podcast here. He is world championship material. He's smooth. No one else in this company wrestles like him. I'm excited for this. You know, this is one of these situations where Swerve's stock has risen tremendously in this feud because he's been having a chance to flex his main event muscles, and he's been tremendous. So this is one of the matches that I'm most looking forward to, if not the match I'm most looking forward to of the entire card. The Golden Jets, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, will be taking on the Young Bucks. Do we understand the stroke? Yeah, Stroke Strickland. That's that'll be the pet name. You know, the Jets, the Winnipeg Jets. We all get it? Okay. You know what? This should be great. That's the thing. Is like I have complete confidence in this match here. You know, it is kind of odd that, you know, we've spent months upon months hoping for the Elite to, you know, reform, and now, you know, it's all sort of, there's cracks, it's crumbling apart, you know. I don't know. Maybe. It doesn't bother me if we're getting good matches, right? And I can't say this enough. The Young Bucks need to be more on TV. They need to be doing great fucking matches. That's what they need to do. I think that they wanted to leave a lot of people shine, a lot of people grow, but I have no interest in that. I want, despite the fact that, you know, the Elite breaking back up so soon is a little off-putting. You sort of, it's kind of weird. Despite all of that, I want Pissy Mac Jackson. I want that. That's the guy I want. I want Pissy Mac Jackson. There's nothing better. I'm excited for this match because, you know, I feel like it's a very low key match, but it has so much potential to be like one of the show stealers, because, you know, the Elite guys are going to go all out, and Jericho delivers in these big spots too. So I am not even remotely worried about this match here. Chris Statlander is going to be taking on Julia Hart and the winner of Red Velvet versus Sky Blue. It's going to be Sky Blue in a three-way match for the AEW TBS Championship. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Three-way matches for championships is an immediate thumbs down for me. But listen. Here's the thing. I think this is a match that's set up to put the title on Julia Hart while keeping Chris Statlander strong. That's what I think. So, what I'm assuming is that, you know, Sky Blue is going to be added to this. She has the personal history with, you know, everyone has history. They're friends, not friends. I like the whole thing. It doesn't matter. But I think Julia Hart is going to be crowned TBS champion because she has been doing tremendous work, because she has improved immensely. I think she's super over. I think that's what you do. And that's why there's a third person being added in here, because I guess they want to preserve Chris Statlander, whose, you know, promo game is not that. That's not her forte. That yeah, look, I'm joking, but I think that's what we're doing here. Hopefully, Statlander is going to be able to be a proper ring general here. Again, it's like I don't want to get too hyperbolic when it comes to Julia Hart, where I think she's improved. I think she's solid. I think she's got way more naturals than a lot of other wrestlers out there on television, and not just in AEW, who pretend to be a wrestler and have none of the naturals. I think she's tremendous, but not saying that she's a finished product, that she is from top to bottom great, because she's not. She's still a work in progress. She's still a rookie, but a very good rookie. I'd be okay with her getting the title. I think that's what they're going to do. I think that kind of smells what the plan is here. Then a match that I have no interest in whatsoever. A 4-way tag team match for the AEW Tag Team Championship. Whatever happened to just like building a contender and let's just go, right? Whatever happened to that? I don't know. Ricky Starks, Big Bill, the champions against Rush and Dorelistico, FTR, and the Kings of the Black Throne. I don't know what to tell you. Talented gentlemen in this ring, but no, like the 4-way match that they had at the 4-way tag team match that they had at Wrestle Dream, right? The Bucks, let me pull it up here. The Bucks, the Lucha Bros, the Guns, and Orange Cassidy and Hook was quite possibly the worst match of the show, right? I remember not liking it. Thought it was boring. So I don't know. It could go a couple of ways here, but I'm not into it. And to wrap it all up, MJF will be taking on Jay White. Big match, Jay. Jay White has taken to American pro wrestling like a seal in water. Is that the expression? Not like a fish in water. That's boring. No, but I like a pig in poop. But he really has been fantastic, and he's a very good foil for MJF. It's a shame that MJF is involved in 7 different things, that we lose focus on stuff. But look, you have Jay White hitting the mic every single time he kills it. He conducts proper business, fiery promos. Fantastic promos, right on the money, stays on target, talks about the match, talks about the stakes. I fucking love him. Great worker. I'm a Jay White guy. Been a Jay White guy not from the start. Can't even say that. I didn't get it. Didn't see it. People had told me, yeah, keep your eye on Jay White, brother. Like, Jay White, hit the bricks. And he won me over, converted 100% years ago. This was great. And look, I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. I fear that it's going to be marred with interference and bloodliney things. I fear. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. But I fear that's what's going to happen, and that will probably mar the the finish and the outcome. And Max is going to do his Hogan-esque things as we go along. And again, like it's not even the Max stuff in the ring that it's not the Max stuff in the ring that bugs me. It's everything that goes around outside. It's all too kooky, unnecessary. You're the world champion. It should be enough. And the thing is that Max knows this. He knows this. He knows that he doesn't need the artifice. I think it's reached a point where I think that he's challenging himself to do this, where it's not even a question of whether I should do it or not. It's like, if I do it, can I be successful at it? Because right now he's trying all sorts of stuff, and some things are really sticking, other things are not, aka tofu. That didn't stick, even though he tried. And he's so good. That's the thing. And MJF he's so good. And I know for a lot of fans, he's public enemy number one right now. For a lot of hardcore wrestling fans, he's public enemy number one. And I can't bring myself to that. Because the stuff, when MJF focuses on being a great in-ring performer, he is tremendous. He is right up there. But on the flip side, it's aggravating and frustrating and is taking us down a road that the other company has gone down and that I got off of. I changed lanes. I went into a completely other road because I didn't care for the other company's style anymore. So I don't want that out of AEW. If I want what Max has to offer on that level, I'll go back and watch the other guys. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But I don't. Look, MJF retains. I think the devil shows up, but I don't think the devil unmasks. But I think there's shenaniganery. I think there are shenanigans that will happen here, nonetheless. So there you have it. That is my AEW Full Gear 2023 review. Next week, preview, and next week is the review. That's how it works. Next week we'll break down the card. Hope you'll be around to do that. Let's review New Japan Strong's Lonestar Shootout show. There you go. Lonestar Shootout show that happened this weekend, October 11, from the Curtis Culwell Center in Garland, Texas. There's still a few things I want to go for. I want to talk about over the show, and I thought this was a good show overall, but there were definitely some highs and a lot of very average stuff as well. And I have mixed feelings about the show, but I think it was a good show. So it's not really a mixed feeling, because I think it was a good show. Look, let's break it down. We'll see how it goes. But there's some stuff, especially when it comes to the undercard. There's gonna be some stuff that I'm just gonna gloss over because either it didn't really hook me in, or there's nothing really to add. We'll see how things go. The pre-show had Matt Vandegrift defeating Barrett Brown, which was a strong survivor match. So these are kids from the dojo. Hey, Motown Slim, nice to see you. Member of the MrWarrenHayes show, Motown Slim, it's good to see you. Yeah, Matt Vandegrift, Barrett Brown, it's all right. And Fred Rosser versus Tom Lawler, though, that's really weird, because these were two guys who were backbones of the Strong brand. I think it's okay that they get a match on the show, but put them on the show, not on the fucking pre-show, right? Why aren't these guys on the main card? These are former Strong champions on top of that. It's a bit of a weird decision. And the match was fine, but, you know, if I'm both guys, I'm like, why am I busting my ass on the pre-show? And I don't blame them, you know, that's the thing. And then when we get to the main card, it kicks off with Atlantis, Mascara Dorada, and Tiger Mask defeating Rocky Romero, Ultimo Guerrero, and Hechicero. Fun little opener. I thought this was good. Anytime you get to see the new and improved Mascara Dorada, the former Mascara Dorada 2.0, not Grand Metalik. Yes, it's one of these situations. He's tremendous. Like he did some stuff here, but didn't quite get the usual amount of shine that he has when he's when he wrestles in CMLL in his home promotion, right? So I don't know, this was fine. This was all right. Fun little opener. Joey Janela had his debut, his New Japan debut, I should say. And he got defeated by Toru Yano. And this was absolutely a match. It is a professional wrestling match that happened. A plunder match on top of that. Look, I sometimes I feel like I'm the last man on earth who likes Joey Janela. I like Joey. I like Joey Janela. I think he's got an energy and a vibe that reminds me a lot of old pro wrestlers, old time pro wrestling, the skeevy slime ball kind of stuff. And he's very versatile. Yano goes through motions. I don't even know if Yano wanted to be in, North America. He never comes to North America, For this, oh, look, it's a quick payday. What do you want from me? I got nothing here. I wasn't really into it. Another match, and then we had a little series, a couple of matches here that I was like, wow, this is kind of dull. This is kind of not good, The Bullet Club team of Alex Coughlin, Chase Owens, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd defeated the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and the Intergalactic Jet Setters. I don't have many thoughts here again. I thought that this was kind of dull. I thought it was kind of boring. And I think that's one of the... what do I prefer? A bad match or... a bad match or a boring match? I'll take a bad match any day. Because a bad match will make me feel something. But a boring match is just a slog to sit through and you're like, what am I watching? What is this? I didn't think it was very good. Then we had the match for the strong openweight tag team titles. El Fantasma and Hikuleo successfully retained against the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs. And you know what? This is another one I was kind of expecting something better. I was kind of expecting something stronger. And what are they doing with ELP? There's something that's not clicking here. What's going on? Is he just like depressed about his career? Like I kind of find this. There was an ELP, 2 years ago that we were looking at, that we're seeing develop, and we're like, look, there's a upward trajectory for this guy. He's just tremendous. He's got all the skills. He can do the babyface thing. He can do the heel thing. And ever since he quit Bullet Club, he's been in this holding pattern, having him join Gorillas of Destiny, the most uncool faction in all of pro wrestling. Well, maybe not all of pro wrestling. Chase you. Anyway. At least in New Japan. The uncoolest faction in New Japan. And I don't know, he doesn't seem motivated. And I don't know look, Hikuleo is another one of these what you see is what you get kind of situations. The guy's in his 30s and that's it. This is his ceiling. This is how as high as he goes. And I know a lot of people still treat him like he's 20. It's like, Warren, give him time. You give him time. I don't know. And quite frankly, West Coast Wrecking Crew, they didn't, they didn't over-deliver here. I thought they went through the motions. Now, did they just find out that they weren't going to be in World Tag League? Maybe, and maybe that demotivated them. I'd be demotivated. That fucking stinks. Jarrell and Isaacs, Nelson and Isaacs, they've been a great tag team. And on Strong, they've been solid, consistent. They're a part of Team Filthy. Like, they have the whole thing going. Throw them into Tag League. That's what they wanted regardless. Jarrell Nelson tweeted out that he was disappointed. I don't know. I didn't care much for this match. Mystico defeats TJP. I thought this was going to be better. Again, it was fine. It's nothing bad with it. But I had higher expectations. I don't know. But at least, look, Mystico got all of the love from the audience. He took it, he did the whole Mystico post-match stuff. He took his time. I'm sure you had producers in the back going, we got to call him back. We got to call him back. Like, hey, let me take selfies with kids. And it's fine. Look, it's Mystico. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. Then we start getting more into the business end of the card. But okay. Strong openweight title. Eddie Kingston defeated Satoshi Kojima. Good little affair, right? Kingston's ongoing 2023 of fighting all of his heroes continues. I thought this was good, solid, and we're gonna leave it at that. Like, you get the spots you expect, the dueling machine gun chops, right? All the little sparkles and specks as we go along here. DDT on the apron by Kojima, Exploder in half and half by Eddie, but it takes 2 back fists and a Northern Lights bomb to end Satoshi Kojima. And I want to say thank you to Little Cuz, who became a member today of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you so much. Welcome aboard. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you. I appreciate the support. That is tremendous. There's better Eddie matches. There's better Satoshi Kojima matches. I'm not saying it's bad, but it could have been, higher, stronger, better, faster. Then we have the Blackpool Combat Club duo of John Moxley and Wheeler Yuta defeating the Bullet Club team of David Finlay and Kenta. Kenta ate the pin here. I thought this was, do you want me to read you my note? I'll read you, because I have one note. Not notes. I have one note for this match. Are you ready? I thought this was very rote and does not put me in any position of confidence to watch David Finlay at Wrestle Kingdom. That fair? If you saw the match, I think that's a fair assessment. We had a perfectly wonderful Wrestle Kingdom match with John Moxley and Will Ospreay. And they threw in Finlay to make it a 3-person. Look, we'll probably, there's going to be a Wrestle Kingdom preview, right? Of course, we'll get there eventually. But God damn it, we did not need David Finlay here. And here's the thing. You go back and you listen to my stuff. And I will have been very pro Dave Finlay. Very, very pro Dave Finlay. When he started up, retired Jay, took over Bullet Club. I'm like, all right, this is great. Honestly, this is great. This is what I want. And he was coming in, he was given a whole different attitude, an attitude change, something that Bullet Club was desperately needing and that he also needed for his career. He was chewing down on the bone. He was getting his hands dirty. You could feel the grit. And I was like, all right, let's go. And I was behind it. And I was excited to see how this was going to go. But it turns out this David Finlay is the same David Finlay we've always had. And like he didn't show up at the G1. His matches have all been average at best. I don't know what he brings to the table. And especially in an environment now in New Japan where whatever spot he was slotted in is much more in danger because of all of the new guys that came in who are already surpassing him. Shota, Tsuji, Yumera. Like, if anything, I was like, look, Finlay's going to take a look at this match and he's going to chat it up with Moxley. He's like, look, we got to do something here. Spectacular, something hot. And this was just a fucking tag team match and Kenta ate the pin. So, look, I got nothing for you here. Disappointing. Solid, disappointing. But then, you get Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Mike Bailey to retain the World Television title. It's fucking ruled. This was just a fantastic match of the night. And the guys here had a particularly exciting final third. That they worked to the time limit perfectly. And it's fantastic. Look, it's fantastic because you've got a guy like Mike Bailey who is not signed to any major promotion. He's an Impact guy and he does dates all over the place. But here's a guy who had been quarantined out of pro wrestling for a long time, visa issues, all sorts of bullshit. What did he do? He took the time to perfect himself, to get better, to improve, to become more and more precise. Now he's a guy who gets in the ring with Will Ospreay and keeps up. He's a guy who gets in the ring with Zack Sabre Jr. and keeps up. With guys who currently, on the world scene, on the international pro wrestling scene, are some of the best wrestlers in the world. And he's there keeping up with them. He's not being carried. He's holding his weight. He's bringing his weight. It's fantastic. The only reason I think people are not going to talk more about Mike Bailey when it comes to the, Wrestler of the Year awards is just the lack of really high-level, prestigious matches on top, in top promotions and in big time scenarios, right? Sure. He had his match with Hiromu, which was fantastic, and his run in Best of Super Juniors was tremendous. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's going to be set aside quite a bit. Anyway, the last 3 minutes, right? Bailey lands the windmill kicks, lands the Ultimo weapon, covers, and Zack Sabre Jr. gets a razor thin kick out. Just tremendous stuff. Get a Zack driver, Euro clutch. Then Sabre runs into a running Spanish fly. We get another windmill kick attempt, but it's interrupted by Zack, who gets into an armbar. Bailey struggles to get out of it, but he's too much in pain. At the 10-second mark, Mike Bailey can't hold. He taps out. He can't wait another 10 seconds. Tremendous stuff. Zack Sabre Jr., man, this year, an explosive year. Incredible stuff. Then this is the match I think Kristen was excited for me to talk about. The IWGP Women's IWGP Women's title match. Mayu Iwatani defeated Stephanie Vaquer to retain. Just tremendous stuff. A great match. Great match. Vaquer is using big time offense here, keeping Iwatani under control. Iwatani almost kills herself on a dive. But that's Mayu being Mayu, right? Vaquer grabs Mayu out of a moonsault into a leg choke, which was tremendous. Just great stuff. Vaquer launches Iwatani into she just launches her with a German. Just like throws her gingerly across the ring. Like Mayu soared for a second there. Awesome stuff. Crucifix bomb by Iwatani, a tombstone, and a beautiful moonsault gets the win. A great wrestling match by two highly talented women. I thought this was tremendous. I gave it 4 stars. Great match. You know, Vaquer, she's having a breakthrough year. That Mercedes Moné match that carried its weight in gold for her. She wasn't slated to win the title, and it doesn't matter. She's better off without the title at this point. She benefited tremendously. It's great stuff. And you know, Rocky Romero, the power broker of pro wrestling, for being honest, Rocky's been talking her up quite a bit. Any interviews that he has an opportunity to chat about her, he just goes really, really hard. Puts her over big time. So I think there's a lot more to get out of Stephanie Vaquer this over the next couple of years. This was good. This was very good, and I had put my money on Vaquer just because of that, just because of, you know, how Rocky had been putting her over recently. See, that's why I don't bet. I suck at it. I'm terrible. Don't ever ask me for betting advice. Not unless you want to lose money. And then we had the never open weight title match, the main event. Shingo Takagi retained against Trent Beretta. This was fine, I guess. Underwhelming, a little disappointing. It didn't do it for me. I thought it was a little scattershot. I thought it was I don't know. And I believe Shingo is, and again, this is something I've said multiple times, I think Shingo Takagi is one of the greatest wrestlers on planet Earth. I think he's tremendous. He's amazing. Trent is a hit and miss guy, and I guess we were missing on this night. I don't know. I feel like the 2 previous matches, the Bailey Sabre match and the Iwatani Vaquer, I think they rose above. It was great. I thought this was tremendous. I thought these 2 matches were tremendous. I thought Shingo and Trent, I don't know why I'm blacking out, and Trent were okay, but nothing more than okay. You know, solid, well put together, nothing bad. Just, it felt like it was stuff happening, and I don't know. It didn't do it for me. Well, that was Lonestar Shootout. there's two really great matches on this card. The rest is really skippable. I feel like this match had, I feel like this card had more buzz than Fighting Spirit Unleash. But I feel like it underdelivered. Despite the fact that there were two great matches on the show. I don't know if it's one that I recommend, that I say, go watch it. You're entirely okay with your lifetime if you never watch it, but if you like yourself some good wrestling, you got Bayley and Zack Sabre Jr. in a nice little tidy 15 minutes, and which is tremendous and over delivers at some points, and Vaquer and Iwatani, just a spectacular thing. It's fine, the show overall, it's all right. Nathan in the chat, nice to see you, by the way, was there. And he said about I think he was saying this about the Mike Bailey, Zack Sabre Jr. match. He said it was the best match that he'd seen live this year. Yeah, that must have been a treat. Absolutely, I buy into that. Let's talk about World Tag League. It's been announced. We're ready to go. The teams have been revealed for the 2023 edition. It will be kicking off on November 20 in Corkin Hall. 16 teams, 2 blocks. Semifinals December 8 in Kirishima City. And the tournament finals will take place on December 9th in Kumamoto. So the two-time. Well, let's run down the teams first of all that are going to be in here. In Block A, we've got Shota Umino and Ren Narita, Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano, Henare and Great Okan, Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols, aka TMDK. The Bullet Club War Dogs, Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd. House of Torture will be represented by Evil and Yujiro. God fucking damn it. And then from the outside, Kaito Kiyomiya and Roe Oiwa, which is, they're legitimately like a team in Pro Wrestling Noah, and now they're coming back to do this here, so that's interesting. And the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Leona, who are going to be in the tournament. So that's for Block A. As for Block B, got Bishamon, the two-time World Tag League winners. Then Hikuleo and El Fantasmo. Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata. That's fun as hell. I'm sorry. That's fun as hell. Taichi and Yuya Uemura. Yota Tsuji and a to be announced. Is it CM Punk? We've got the Monster Sauce team of Lance Archer and Alex Zane also being included here. Bad Luck Fale returning to my New Japan television alongside Jack Bonza from the Bullet Club Rogue Army. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Jack Bonza, Australian performer. I believe he is a trainer at Fale's school. So, okie dokie. And then from CMLL, Soberano Jr. and Atlantis Jr. So that's also very fun. So, I gotta say, I don't hate the setup for World Tag. I find the tag team division in New Japan to be a little lacking sometimes. I think it's not all that interesting. I think it's we get force-fed a lot of stuff. But yeah, you know what? I like this. I like this setup. Here's a couple of thoughts. First of all, Bishamon, right? Could be finishing this tournament as the first ever three-peat tournament winners, World Tag League winners. They could do that this year. I think it's strange that the Musketeers are in this, you know, but we don't have anything for them for Wrestle Kingdom. You know, we made such a big deal out of these new guys this year. Pushed hard, well, pushed into the limelight, is what I'm trying to say. You know, giving them the Three Musketeers handle and all of that. And we have nothing for them at Wrestle Kingdom so far. I think that's really weird. I think it's really strange. I like the idea of the Gates of Agony here. Look, the Gates have a legitimate opportunity to get over with the Japanese crowd. I think they have the look and the physique to really stand out from everyone else on the card, in the tournament, excuse me. Particularly, well, not in their block, like there's Hinari and Great Okan, which are two big dudes, you know, but you know, they have a certain presence about them and some great work that they can slap together to make this really, really, really interesting. I am really, you know, you have, you know, Toa Leona, you let him do the, you know, he had a wild man thing going recently where, you know, he let all his hair out and he was wearing, you know, I don't know what the name is, you know, but one of these, you know, these flowered, you know, I don't know, cloths around his waist. I don't know exactly how to, there's a name for that and I apologize. I don't know what it is, but, like just tremendous opportunity for them to get over. And it's the kind of stuff that the New Japan crowd will get excited about. Just like I'm excited to see some CMLL guys in here. I think, and you know, Soberano Jr., Atlantis Jr. are fantastic. So that'll be a great team. Very curious to see who Yoda mystery man is going to be. I couldn't even begin to guess. There's been so many theories out there. I don't know. I like the idea of Taichi and Yuya together much more than Sanada and Yuya. I feel like Taichi and Yuya can complement each other really, really well. Whereas I feel like Sanada, like when Yuya is with Sanada, he comes across as being Sanada's young boy, which is not the case anymore. He has to sort of, you know, strike out from the pack, come across as a really big deal. Because look, he's got the naturals, he's got the charisma, he's got the look, he's got the skill. You got to bet on Yuya here. Minoru Suzuki, Yuji Nagata, that's fun as hell. I said it before, I'll say it again. That is a tremendous pairing. And Kiyomiya and Oiwa, I don't think they're doing much here, but it begs to wonder. Again, look, we'll see. Let's have this conversation as the tournament starts moving forward. We'll do updates and whatnot, but you know, Kiyomiya was effectively geeked out of the G1 this year when people were expecting something completely different. Noah throwing him back into New Japan that basically, you know, booked him into a hole during the G1. Coming in here to team with a New Japan young boy, a young lion who's on excursion and now he's into this tournament. And why wouldn't, like, if I'm Noah and they had buried my guy like they did, and Kevin Kelly on commentary just completely trashing him, if they had buried my guy like they did, I wouldn't be sending him back and be like, no, stay away. This is the plague. Stay away from New Japan and we're not sending you back. I guess Noah doesn't give a shit about him. And that's my theory. And I mean, you know, I could do without Yujiro Takahashi, that sack of turnips, I could do without ever seeing him wrestle again. So that's a bummer. And he's with Evil, so it's not even a question that he's there to take L's. Kind of sucks. It's an interesting tournament, not going to lie. I'm captivated by it. There's a lot of really interesting pairings, a lot of actual tag teams, as opposed to just throwing two guys together, as opposed to just putting, I'm drawing a blank, who are like Yuji Nagata and fucking, I don't know, I'm completely drawing a blank. And Yoshihashi. I know that's not possible, but you know what I mean. Like, there's some actual tag teams here. There's a lot of people who, do this as a thing for a living. I don't hate this. Who do I see, who do I see having some good chances? Well, you would assume that your champions are going to have a good time in this tournament. You would assume so. As much as I like the idea of Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata, I don't see them pushing like, old guys too hard. But you look at B Block, right? Bishamon, who else is in here? Folly and Bonza? No. Yoda and his partner, Taichi and Yumera. Hikuleo and Phantasmo currently, strong open champions, but that doesn't really matter. Not the strong titles. I don't I don't think they have to protect usually you'd think they'd protect the champions, but when it comes to the strong titles, I don't think they give a shit. They're gonna protect Bishamon for sure. I think Bishamon's gonna win the block. And as for Block A, that's a very good question. I'd like the Gates to really do well. I feel the Gates would really do well, and they'll be fantastic. What are they doing with Great Okan these days? He's just thrown all over the place, and Hanari too. I don't see why they'd focus on that. TMDK, maybe. Depends how serious they want to get in here. I'm a big fan of Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin. I feel it might be between those three teams right there. Oh, well, and then you've got Shota and Ren Narita, right? Let's make it up to 4. I think those are the 4 teams you have to look out for. Because Shota had a match of the year with Ospreay, and we can't hammer that home enough that he's shown that he's on another level. That he can raise himself to another level. Got to continue that energy, right? So, we're going to start our coverage. We'll get back to we'll stay updated on the happenings, on the haps of World Tag League. But it's a much better looking tournament than the past couple of years. I'm pretty happy with it. Let's wrap up tonight's proceedings here with a review of DDT Ultimate Party, the big DDT show that happened on November 12th. 2023 from Sumo Hall, the Ryogoku in Tokyo, Japan. 4,785 fans showed up. I'll buy it. It looked a little empty by times. I don't know about this attendance number. So I'm not gonna look. This was a when I started it up on Wrestle Universe. I pressed play And I see 6 hours and I'm like, Jesus Christ. 6 hours of a promotion, which, to be completely honest with everyone here, it's not exactly my cup of tea. It's not the worst promotion out there, but it's a promotion that I there's so much nonsense that goes on where I'm like, I just want to sit down and watch some wrestling, and I sit down and I'm like, there's all this shit happening in some matches. I'm like, what am I doing here? What am I watching? Am I going to be subject to this for 6 hours? And I really wanted to watch it because I found like there were a couple of matches on this card that had piqued my curiosity, and they had hyped it well. And I was like, yeah, I want to see this. I want to see the main events. I want to. And I stuck with it because I was like, look, if I'm going to review this, I'm going to review this properly. You know, I'm not going to just like be a big fucking dope and just watch the main events, which I don't say big fucking dope. Anyone can do that. I'm not trying to be judgy here. Not trying. But no, I'm like, look, I gotta sit through this. I gotta sit through it all. But there are some things that most of this card I'm gonna skip over. Because I got nothing. While I was watching this, I was in the Discord, which you should join, by the way. Link is in the description. I was in the Discord, and I tweeted and I wrote something to the effect, I'm a third into this card, which is what, like 2 hours into the show, of a 6 hour show, right? I'm a third into the show, and there is just so much fucking nonsense, I can't stand it. And I'm talking the KOD tag team title match, the TJPW match, the the tag team Royal Rumble that they did, the Geza 8-man tag match, the pheromones shit, the Ikemen Jiro match. I gotta talk about this though for a second. Ikemen Jiro, of course, was released from WWE, so he goes back to Japan. Kuroshio, Tokyo, Japan is what he's referred to as. Kuroshio, Tokyo, Japan. Everyone calls him Ikemen, right? That's what they're chanting. And he comes out, right? He comes out and he does this thing where he goes into the audience and celebrates with the audience because he's back and everyone's happy and he's a star in DDT, and I get it, that's fine. And his entire theme is like 3 minutes, 3:30, and for the entirety of his theme song, he goes into the audience and he's slapping hands. And then he goes to the ring and he teases going into the ring, but no, he gets back out, or he doesn't even get into the ring. He teases to go in, but he jumps off and he goes back into the audience and he celebrates some more and he dances and he takes selfie. He lets people take pictures with him. He takes selfies with people. He's doing the jacket thing. He does this for the 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And then when the song is over, he tips his hat. Well, figuratively speaking, and he goes to the back. And I'm like, this is it? But no, the music starts up again and he comes out and he starts doing it again. But at least he didn't do it for the full, song. Then he actually got into the ring and we actually had a match. Well, a match with Takeshi Masada, who is, the second Kenosuke Takeshita, right? Looks exactly like him. I did like this, the match after itself, I was like, there's so much nonsense and stalling and And so it makes me wonder, when I see Ikemenjiro doing this, Kuroshio Tokyo Japan doing this, and I'm looking, how did WWE not figure out what to do with this guy? Like, we all figured when he was signed, Ikemenjiro, he's going to be fine. He's a goofball, and how in the hell did WWE not know what to do with this guy? Completely baffles me. Then you got Harashima, Jun Nakayama, and Yukio Naya defeating the Voodoo Murders, the Saito Bros, and Toshizo. And I would have expected this to be. I was like, okay, finally, let's get some wrestling going here. But no. Kind of stunk. Then we get Daisuke Sasuke defeating Tetsuya Endo. And that was good. Then I'm like, finally, as the meme says, right? Finally, some delicious fucking food. And it wasn't even like it was a super good match. I wouldn't call it great, but it was a super good match. Well put together. It was a lot of fun. Now, it wasn't a masterpiece by any sense of the imagination, but you know, slingshot 450 off the top turnbuckle by Endo to the floor. That'll get your juices flowing. On top of a table, the destroyer by Endo, and he's just all over the place. Sasuke wins though. It's been a lock. Referee stoppage, great match. No, excuse me, very good match. Dial it down a little bit. I had a blast. This and I was like, finally. Well, are we finally moving forward? Are we going to get like some good, delicious pro wrestling? Well, listen, we had the Saki Akai retirement match, which was fine, I guess. Look, here are my notes, okay? I'm jumping ahead here. We had the team of Miyu Yamashita, Kazusada Higuchi, and Naomichi Marufuji defeating Saki Akai, Hideki Okatani, and Yukio Sakaguchi. All right? And Akai did business the right way. You know, it was her and Yamashita at the end who were in the ring. And the guys were all outside from both teams. And, there was only these two left in the ring. And Akai had just, got the shit beat out of her. And she was stunned. And the guys sort of all looked at each other. And they all, through common accord, just got off the apron to let the ladies finish it. And it finished immediately after with a skull kick by Yamashita. And she got the win for her team on the retirement match. I mean, Akai was like the 5th best wrestler in this match. Like, everyone was delivering, and it was good. A cage match has this at 8.85. I wouldn't go this high. I mean, I understand why they're rating it this high, and it's a special match. It's a special evening. It's something you want to, you want to punctuate here, and you want to make it feel special. I understand why they went this high. But listen, Yamashita was a standout in this match. Marufuji plastering people with kicks was a lot of fun. And I wrote it here. Saki Akai wasn't even the 5th best wrestler in this match. Some great exchanges, some good stuff. But, it's... I'm not going to remember this. I'm not going to remember this match. And, as a guy who's not invested in DDT, maybe as a lot of people are, I I'm not privy to the contributions of Saki Akai to the promotion. So while I can appreciate that they're giving her a big send-off and there was a whole ceremony after, where you even had Tenryu and Togi Makabe giving pre-tape pre-tape send-offs to Akai, like it all kind of goes over my head. I don't know what her contributions are to DDT, how deep they are. Apparently, she was very well liked by the fan base. But it's like I look at this and I'm like, the girl we're sending off isn't even the best wrestler in this show. It's like, anyway. That was fine. And then look, we get the DDT Iron Man heavy metal title match, right? And at least when it comes to the Iron Man match, I'm like, okay, I know what to expect here. I know what's coming. But even if I knew that I was about to be sent into the deep end here, nothing prepared me for what we got. Hiromu Takahashi defeated Kazuki Hirata in a 5-round dramatic dream round, let's have fun, what will happen, fun death match. Let me say that again. This was the match. A dramatic dream round, let's have fun, what will happen, fun death match. So they had a spin the wheel, make the deal gimmick, digital, not physical. And they had a plunger, and Hiromu would hit the plunger, and then the wheel would turn on the Tron. And then there'd be the stipulation for the round. It was a 5-round match, and round number 1 was a musical situation death match where they had to wrestle to the beat of the music, right? And this was my favorite part of the entire match because I believe they had like the CEO of the company in the audience, and he was judging what they were, the dance that, Hiromu didn't want to play around. I'm like, there's my boy. Go ahead, Hiromu. Where, Hirata was ready to do nonsense. Hiromu was like, and he's like, he kicks him and fuck the music. And then the CEO in the audience, he like, boo, he has a big red X on a pole and he shows that up, and then everyone's freaking out. And then he gets a mic and he starts berating Hiromu. I thought that was funny. Like if you're going to go with some proper nonsense, right? The other one was a 2-on, so, they do that. They do some interpretive dancing. I don't know. Who cares? And and Hirata and Hiromu almost kiss, right? Wasn't it this one? And then the other one is a 2-on-1 handicap match where it was Hiromu versus Hirata and someone else. And the someone else was Yoshihiko, the doll. So they do stuff with the doll, and I like the idea. And commentary was putting this over, and they were like, "Can you believe, a wrestler from New Japan Pro Wrestling is going to be wrestling, Yoshihiko?" And I'm like, "No, I can't. Can you?" I thought that was pretty funny. Look. They did the stuff with the doll. Then the third round was a blindfolded bra match. And what that is that they had to put blindfolds on their faces and wear a bra, a brassiere, right? And whoever, while blindfolded, took the brassiere off of the other competitor in this match would be declared the winner. And then the fourth round was a dancing death match. So not to be confused with the musical situation death match. The dancing death match was literally a dance-off. But Hiromu didn't want to do jack shit with it. So they go to the fifth round, and the fifth round was once again the dancing death match. And so Hiromu he danced. I don't know. Sometimes I just want to watch pro wrestling. And DDT is a promotion that is very clearly not for me. It's not for Warren Hayes. And I know there's, if you enjoy it, that's fine. To me, the nonsense to ratio, the nonsense to wrestling ratio is just way off the fucking charts. It is. It's not comparable, right? So Hiromu retains the Iron Man Heavy Metal title, and then he gets his junior title back to the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, and then he lies down on the mat next to Hirata, who ate a bunch of time bombs. Who cares? And the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title is on top of Hiromu. So the referee comes in and he counts the three, and the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title wins the Iron Man Heavy Metal Championship. But then Hirata pins the title, so that's how you get it off Hiromu without pinning Hiromu. Then we get Matt Cardona versus Mao for the... and actually, Mao defeats Matt Cardona to become the new DDT Universal Champion. It was a no DQ match. Look, imagine your Matt Cardona match. This is what it was. Plain, simple, to the point. That's what this was. Mao wins with a radio silence off the top rope through 3 plastic bins. Then we got to my match of the night, Konosuke Takeshita versus Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho defeated him. I was a bit surprised by that, but Jericho had his working boots on. This was great. I thought this was very good. Maybe I was starved for entertainment at this point, and I was just ready for anything. But this ruled. This was tremendous. And Jericho's eating bumps. He's eating knee strikes. He eats a driver by Takeshita, who then follows up with a wheelbarrow German. Just great stuff. Jericho is doing lion salts to the cheers of the crowd. Jericho hits a really weird code breaker towards the end. But that's fine. We get an avalanche blue thunder bomb by Takeshita. More strikes. Another flying knee strike and another. Takeshita goes to expose the knee. But Jericho interrupts the strike into a lion tamer. And Takeshita taps in the lion tamer. Jericho wins. Tremendous. I legitimately... a legitimately great match on this show that I adored. I think this was my match of the night. And we'll get to the main event in a second. The weird thing that I found, though, was Jericho offering Takeshita a handshake, and Takeshita shook it, yet they're still embroiled with the Don Callis stuff. And Don Callis came to Japan at the previous DDT show to call out Jericho. So it's all connected nonetheless with AEW canon. So the fact that they shook hands was a little weird to me. And after the match, Takeshita was a little pissed off, a little frustrated. And then in the main event, Yuki Ueno defeated Chris Brooks to become the new KOD Openweight champion. It's a weird one. It's a weird one for me because, a lot of people are really into this match. And the best way I could say this, right, is that I liked the main event. I thought it was fun because of all the moves. This was a moves match. Like, you're into moves, you're into people throwing each other around, doing cool drivers and shit like that. That's what this was. And the guys worked their asses off. Brooks and Ueno, they were tremendous. Like, undeniably talented guys, right? And they're doing these crazy ass spots, but the in between, right? Like the stuff that happens between the spots, it just wasn't there. Like the authenticity. Like this is the driest 4-star match, 4.25-star match that I have seen in a while. The work was outstanding, but like there was nothing palpable that made the drama that made this spectacular. Look, we got Shota Umino and Will Ospreay 2 weeks ago in an absolutely phenomenal match that created a feeling, a story, drama throughout the entire thing. And while maintaining this high level of physicality, right? And Ueno and Brooks did the same as far as the physical aspects go. High level, physically impressive, but it all just left me a little empty, a little indifferent. I didn't feel anything. And they were telling a story here, right? They're friends and whatnot. There was a story to this match, but it didn't connect. The moves connected. It's just really one of these matches. Sometimes you often hear it's like, oh, it's just moves, you know? It's just moves. So I'm like, yeah. This is pretty much the definition of it. This is pretty much the definition of what a just moves match looks like, feels like. It didn't grip me, but I can look at the match and say, okay, these guys worked really, really hard, but there was something that didn't cross over, something that didn't put it over the top. There wasn't great emotion to it, I guess. That makes sense. Again, like I gave it 4.25 stars, but a very dry main event for such a high level match. I don't know. Weird, right? Guess it happens sometimes. You know what else happens sometimes? Having to wrap things up. Having to wrap up the weekly wrestling inspection. Oh man, thank you all so much for joining me tonight here on the Mr. Warren Hayes show on the recording or on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, like what we do every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. My voice is completely shot. I don't know if you can tell. A lot of people won't be hearing me talk tomorrow and they'll be very happy. But thank you all. If you're watching this on demand right now, consider leaving a like on the video. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, 5-star ratings on Spotify would help out a great deal. I will be back on Thursday for the Dynamite review. It might be a little later. Don't forget, it might be a little later than usual, but it will be there on Thursday. No Collision review this week, folks. However, put that in your notebooks. But you know, then I'll be back on Tuesday. Don't worry about that. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Hope you've got some great wrestling to watch in the next few. Thank you again for letting me into your ears, and I'll see you next time.